Hi, it's Redheaded Riding Hood here, Red for short. September 14th. It's my younger son's birthday. Happy birthday, Ian. And today's is Too Busy. Part 1. Often we are too busy talking to listen. Really good talkers may be scarce, but really good listeners are very much scarcer. We are usually much more eager to tell people what we think and what we have done than we are to listen to what they think and what they have done. Most people don't really want a dialogue. What they want is a monologue with a few polite murmurs of respectful agreement just to keep the thing going. We even take this talkativeness into prayer with us. We forget so often that prayer means listening at least as much as it means talking, and we are too busy talking to God, telling God what we want Him to do and what He really ought to do, to listen to what He wants us to do. It is just as important to learn to listen and to keep silent as it is to talk. Yeah, in James it says to be slow to speak and slow to anger. Often we are too busy earning a living to live. We live in a society in which there are many things to buy, and things to buy cost money. And so you get a man working so much overtime or doing so many money-earning small jobs that he has hardly time to know his family. Or you get the woman going out to work and not always, but certainly sometimes neglecting the children God gave her and the home of which she ought to be the center. They are so busy earning a living that they forget how to live. In the Old Testament story, there was the man who was enjoined to look after a prisoner captured in the battle. He did this and the prisoner escaped. And when he was called to account, he could only make the lame excuse, as your servant was busy here and there, he was gone. 1 Kings 20, verse 40. Be careful, you are not too busy to have time for the things which matter. Yes. And I stayed home with my children and raised them. And I'm glad I did that. But also my husband wouldn't allow me to work. And I did kind of, I had hints. I felt that he wanted me to be dependent on him. And I think that was his motivation too. Because I really wasn't, I thought it'd be easier to get a job, honestly. I almost got a job so many times, and then I ended up doing Airbnb in my house because I couldn't find a regular job. So this was before COVID. I feel like it's much easier to find a job now. And it was in Georgia. But yeah, although I feel like I'm happy I stayed home with my kids and raised them, it's very much a slap in the face that when we divorced, he said she won't get a job when he didn't want me to get a job, until the end. He needed something to complain about. So that was his complaint. She won't get a job. And I wanted to be a substitute teacher. And he was like, don't do that. And he was like, go back to school. And like nothing was a good enough job for him. like, I wanted to take a job in the next town over, and I had a gas guzzling car until I traded it in and got a smaller car, and I got in trouble with him for that. But just like, I couldn't do anything, I was just like, at the end I gave up, it's like, you can't please this man because there's no pleasing him, right? So he would say, oh, you can't go get minimum, wage job working there and drive that far. It's just a waste of time for you to go get that minimum, and before, when I thought about it, why should you go get a minimum wage job when I make $50 an hour and he just worked overtime? And, I was always there with the kids and he was always gone. And then, another slap in the face, then get the kids to turn against me, and it's like, I'm the one that raised you. I'm the one that was there for you, And so it's very bittersweet. While I'm still glad that I mostly stayed home with my kids, I kind of wish that at the end I had gotten something, and then I would have been more prepared for, leaving him. I would have been more prepared, and I wish I had left sooner, because there's this whole thing with, I'm glad my kids are here, but I knew early on, I knew before the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, no, not the 6th, we have five. But anyways, I knew early on, so, and then it would have been very extremely difficult, and it would have, and I don't think my parents would have even, my dad didn't support me in the end. My mom was had passed on, but my dad didn't support my divorce. He was just like, we think you should, like it was only up to me. And it wasn't only up to me, and my ex acts like that too. Like, it was my decision. But at the end I went, we had been separated for almost a year when I asked him if he would be open to us reconciling. And he said, not unless you get a job. That's what he said. And then, that's my little thing on Too Busy. So I do wish I had found a job while I was still married to prepare myself for getting divorced, because I felt he did that for me to be dependent on him. And then he didn't want to pay me alimony. And it's just like, you made me this way, and now I'm unable. And I was like trying, and I would just, I went so many interviews. I rewrote my resume over and over and over again, and I tried, and I'm glad I tried. And then I started doing Airbnb, and I kept trying to get a job too. So anyways, that's my story. That's my story about Too Busy. It kind of went there, so. All right. Don't say that no one cares for you, because I do, and God does too. Don't forget to pray for Red, because Red is praying for you. Bye.